Distinguished guests, please welcome the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Detroit Regional Chamber, Sandy Baruah.
Well, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Man, look at you. You look awesome. You look absolutely awesome. It's been a while. It's been a minute since we've been back here at the Motor City Casino for the Detroit Policy Conference, back at our regular scheduled bat time and our regular scheduled bat channel. Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do, what each and every one of you do to make this city, region, and state a better place to live, work, and play. Give yourselves a round of applause. Well, I'm grateful you're kicking off 2023 with the Detroit Regional Chamber, and we're really thrilled to have you here at the Detroit Policy Conference. And we all wouldn't be here if it weren't for an amazing lineup of sponsors. And as this event has grown over the decade that we have been hosting this event, the number of supporters and sponsors and cheerleaders for this event and the conversations that take place here only continues to grow. Of course, our presenting sponsor and our host is the fabulous Motor City Casino Hotel. Again, after a decade, still with us strong. We're so grateful to our friends at Motor City Casino Hotel. And our diamond sponsor, Huntington. They do so much for the Chamber and so much for all of us. Please, a round of applause for our premier sponsors. And of course, we have more. Our platinum sponsors, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, DTE Energy, and the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Our gold sponsors, and these are where we've got these incredible new friends of the Chamber to support the Detroit Policy Conference, the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chevrolet Grand Prix. We're so excited to have that back in the streets of Detroit. The Detroit Auto Show, which is back and better than ever. Our friends at the Kresge Foundation, the Parade Company, and all the amazing things Tony Michaels and his team do for our community. The Rocket Companies and Visit Detroit. Everyone, a round of applause for these amazing organizations and their amazing leaders. And of course, we have 33 other important sponsors that help us put everything together and make today the day that makes it worthwhile for you to actually put on pants, get in a car, and drive someplace. So we're very excited that you're here. So today's conference is on the future of our downtown, and we don't have to look that far back in the rearview mirror to remember what things looked like just a little over a decade ago. So many people across the country, across the globe, frankly, even here locally, wrote off the city of Detroit and the region, and frankly, the state of Michigan. But here we sit, after a trajectory of an incredible decade of storied progress that started here in downtown Detroit, but it only wasn't here in downtown Detroit. Downtown Detroit was just a piece of what happened across the entire city, in our neighborhoods, and across the region. And when we talk about downtowns, yes, of course, we're talking about downtown Detroit, but we're also talking about the theme of where people congregate in offices and where they work. So a lot of the lessons that we're going to be talking about today, yes, certainly relevant to downtown Detroit, and certainly that is going to be our focus today. But think about, business districts like Warren or Troy, equally relevant. So keep in mind for that conference, for that confluence of conversations today. Now, as we know, our downtown drove this national and international narrative about the recovery and the resilience of the great city of Detroit. And it helped spur this development and investment throughout our neighborhoods and across the region. And that happened because, again, of this confluence of people who came together, people and organizations, business leaders like, Rocket and Bedrock, Blue Cross and Huntington that have their headquarters here and continue to invest in this downtown core. Civic organizations like the fabulous Detroit Riverfront Conservancy and the amazing work that they have done to make Detroit's riverfront one of the best in the nation. The Downtown Detroit Partnership and all the amazing work that they've been doing, not just for the last decade, but for the last decades, to really cultivate what is happening here in downtown Detroit. And of course, political leadership. It has taken a confluence of all types, including philanthropy, to get us where we are today, and we can build on that. And the good news, frankly, keeps coming. As you just heard, Mike Duggan announced just days ago that the unemployment rate in the city of Detroit is now at a generational low of 6.4%. Less than a decade ago, we were over at 17%. I call that progress. And the Detroit region, our region is at under 3%, way below the national average. And our state at 3.5 is essentially at the national average. And our great friends at Detroit Future City, led by my friend Anika Goss, gives us this another great piece of data. 82% of national business leaders and Detroit entrepreneurs say that investing in Detroit is a good idea and is a favorable environment. And even with the pandemic and all the challenges that we have, that number is up 10% over what it was in 2016. That is incredible trajectory. But of course, each and every one of us knows that the pandemic has changed the way we work, where we spend time. We need to understand that, because where we were prior to the pandemic, we're going to be in some place a little bit different, as we move forward. And we're going to be, the smarter we are, the better decisions that we're going to make, and that's one of the reasons why we're here today. So look at these numbers. 4.4% of people in the Detroit region were working from home prior to the pandemic. Today, 20%. Huge shift. Average workers in our downtown core, before the pandemic, over 56,000. Today, 18,000. That's a 68% drop, my friends. And we all know, like on a Monday or a Friday morning, we know that number is optimistic. But here's the really worrying number for me, is that Detroit, of the 62 largest cities in the country, we're 59th in terms of returning our people to their places of work. Think of the economic impact and how we have to think differently about how we utilize our incredible downtown resources. The Chamber's very proud to have a long-term relationship with the folks at Gallup, and they were able to provide us some incredible data. Now, this is national data, but I think it's important that we all understand this. So first of all the workers in the country, 56% of them are considered remote capable. In other words, they can do their work not in a traditional office building. They can do it from a treehouse in Sheboygan, or they can do it in their basement in their pajamas, right? So prior to the pandemic, of these 56% of all workers that are remote capable, as they're called, prior to the pandemic, 10% of them were working exclusively remotely. Today, there's a threefold increase, and it's 30%. 60% of these remote capable workers were working in a traditional office setting. Today, it's only 20%. So these trends are not just in Detroit. In Detroit, it's just a little bit more exacerbated based on the data that I showed you on the last slide. And of course, where do people, or how do people want to work? A vast number, an entire 6% want to be back in the office 5 days a week. Now, I don't think that number surprises anyone, because even those of us who are old and gray, or in my case, balding, and have been used to working in an office 5 days a week or more. We don't want to be back in the office 5 days a week either. So that 6% number is not surprising. But 60% want this hybrid environment. And 34% want exclusively remotely. Now, when you ask, okay, so hybrid, how often do you want to be in the office if you want a hybrid work environment? Well, the answer to that question is frankly, not a whole heck of a lot. Only 3 in 10 of those surveyed say that they want to be in the office 2 days or less. And 4 in 10 say that they might go up to 3. So even our remote workers who want the hybrid environment are very much looking for a whole lot of flexibility, and we're going to have to understand that. And here's the big challenge, and employers all know this, I know this, just even with our own team at the Detroit Regional Chamber. We all hire these incredible, professional, talented people, and they have options, and they know they have options. So of those people who want, that flexibility, if you are an exclusively remote worker today, and your employer says, I think we're going to go a hybrid, or worse yet, we're going to bring you back into the office, 60% of those workers are highly motivated, not just motivated, but highly motivated to start looking for other work. And employers know this, and this is part of the dynamic that we as employers, but more importantly, those of us who care about our central city and the economic dynamism that our central city brings to our region and our state, we need to keep this in mind. Now, fortunately, so much of the companies, the people, the political leaders, the goodwill, the momentum that existed before COVID still exists today. When you think about the companies that are doing these amazing things like Ford, and the Michigan Central train station, the continued investment from Bedrock, companies like Huntington and GM and Blue Cross that are bringing their employees back. These incredible events that we have, we know about, we're getting the draft in 2024, the Grand Prix is coming back to the streets of downtown. Thanks to the incredible lifelong gift that our friend Gretchen Valet left us, we have this incredible jazz festival and so much more. These things were part of our makeup prior to the pandemic, and they're still with us today. We still have the Red Wings, the Tigers, the Lions, and the Pistons all right downtown. What other downtown in the country can say that? And this fabulous restaurant scene and entertainment scene that we developed over the last decade plus, it's still with us today. How many have tried to get a restaurant reservation in downtown Detroit and have not been able to, right? It is hard. So what we're going to celebrate this good news today, but we're also going to talk about what we need to do to chart our path forward. And I'm happy to announce today that the Detroit Regional Chamber, we are committed to our downtown presence. The organization has been based in downtown for its entire existence, but for the last 25 plus years, we've been in the iconic One Woodward building. We announced that we are going to move to 1 Kennedy Square, right across the street from Campus Martius. So we have had this incredible front row seat to this incredible activity, this incredible momentum created in downtown Detroit, and we're going to continue to be part of it from our new offices this summer at 1 Kennedy Square. And we're really excited about our new space and having this amazing view of the Christmas tree. So it's not us, it's not the Detroit Regional Chamber, it's certainly not me that's going to walk you through these conversations today. We have incredible leaders. In fact, I've told lots of folks, many of you, that of all the Detroit policy conferences that we've had, this is my favorite agenda. It is the best curated, and we've got this incredible lineup. Kicking us off today is a friend and an incredible leader, the world's leading urbanist and futurist, Richard Florida, is going to kick us off this morning. And Richard obviously has ties to this area. He's a dear friend, and we're committed to doing a lot of work with Richard over the next year, which he's going to talk about. We have incredible business leaders joining us today. People like Cindy Paskey and Gary Torgo, Kofi Bonner, and Eric Larson. They're going to talk about what is business's role in curating this continued momentum of downtown? And how can businesses walk this balance between what employees want in terms of a flexible work environment and bringing people back into the offices so we can create team, we can create synergy, we can create energy, and we can continue to revitalize our downtown environment? We have Bud Danker from Penske and Claude Molinari from Visit Detroit to talk about the role of these big events that we have in downtown Detroit and how important they are to the dynamism of what our region has. And of course, the government is going to be here. We're so honored to have the great mayor of the city of Detroit, Mike Duggan, with us, and along with the newly re-elected lieutenant governor of our state, Garland Gilchrist, all joining us, and many, many more to lead you through just an amazing conversation today. So thank you for being here with us. Thank you for supporting the next chapter of Detroit's downtown and what it means for our region and our state. Please share the conversations that you have with the person sitting next to you or whatever takes place on this stage. Please use the hashtag DPC23. Tag the Detroit Regional Chamber in your posts. We're so honored that you're with us today. Have an awesome day. Thanks so much.